Pieguy Rules here, and welcome back to the recast. This week, I am joined by, for the second week in a row, MonstersReview.
Ooh, hi.
We are also joined by...
Pieguy the Artist. Ooh.
also known as Kuro, if you couldn't recognize that amazing voice.
Why, thank you.
And we are also joined by...
Shadow Shriek. Ah. I'm sorry.
Are you with the dentist?
I would have given a genuine shriek if I wasn't sick.
So, in true October recast tradition, we have two sick people here with us.
Yeah, but I made it this time.
Shadow and Kuro are both a little under the weather, but they're troopers, all right? As we all are. Monsters, how are you feeling?
Better, still not 100%, but, you know, it's a progress. Slow and easy wins the race. Patience is the virtue. Trying to think of other words of wisdom. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling better than the rest of you.
Pie is draining our life force. Please send help.
Maybe Pie is an alien that's he's sucking the life out of us.
That's why you chose these episodes.
He's taking our resources.
Well, there's a lot of pies in the second one, or the third episode.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we're here to talk about Cartoon Network Invaded. We will get to that. We will be talking about the first half of Cartoon Network Invaded, or the first 3/5, technically, time-wise, because Camp Leslie had to come in and mess everything up by being 2 11-minute episodes. Yeah, but okay. We also have some Halloween specials that we're going to talk about, or spooky episodes in general that we're going to talk about, with ones that we liked, ones that we don't like. Probably none in between that scale. But first, Monsters, do we have any corrections?
So we talked extensively about Camp Coral last week, particularly about that Brian Robbins interview where he talks about how Sandy's really cute. A lot of people mentioned in the comments that Tea at the Tree Dome exists. And that's like the third episode of SpongeBob where he meets Sandy as an adult for the first time.
Yep.
So chances are that's going to be retconned.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I didn't mention it just because generally that's like everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Sandy's introduction 100% will be retconned. I can almost guarantee you they're gonna do something stupid where, like, I don't know, they forget her name at the end of the miniseries.
Hey y'all, I'm a foreign exchange student from Texas high school.
Or she's gonna go by like her full name Sandra, or some stupid way to explain how that still makes sense. Or they won't bother. Either way, that's not good. And also, SpongeBob definitely didn't know Mr. Krabs personally. I mean, he went to the Krusty Krab before he worked there, but like it's not like if Mr. Krabs definitely didn't know SpongeBob. So yeah, either way, continuity's messed up on that. Anything else?
Yeah. Also, we were noticing how clever it was with Patrick. And the Dutch references, with the Flying Dutchman in the episode Scaredy Pants. Patrick also said step into these Hans. And Hans is obviously a Dutch name. That was another cool thing.
I think step into these space Hans.
Yeah. Not like step into these Hans. Yeah.
Right. Commas are important, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have a Discord server. If you don't know that by now, I don't know what you've been doing, but link is in the description. Please join the discussion. Since this is like a special 2-part recast, there'll be more Invaded stuff to talk about next week, so just keep filling that Invaded section.
Yeah, come invade the server.
There you go. That's good, Monsters.
I try.
So, Shadow, aside from being sick, is there anything cool going on?
Not that I can think of, honestly.
There's a certain thing that you were a part of that's going to be airing its finale by the time this came out.
That's true. There is our Pokemon Unknown Challenge run. We're wrapping it up, the first one. And then I won't say much else, but we do have more plans, so that won't be the end of it. But yeah, definitely look out for that.
So yeah, all 11 parts will have been released by the time this comes out. So over on Pieguy Plays, also link in the description if you want to see me and Shadow play a really crazy Pokemon run.
Yeah.
Kuro, what projects have you been working on?
Lately we've been doing this series called And Beyond, which is like sort of like these virtual documentaries exploring different worlds.
Starring Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, starring Buzz Lightyear. Actually, it's this little robot named Horace that O.R. Ash from the Ink Tank voices, and he does phenomenal work. And it's really fun. We just released, in the spirit of Halloween, an episode about the Ghost Zone. So Horace goes to visit the Ghost Zone, and he explains how the world works, what it's like, and all of that. A lot of Danny Phantom fan service. And we got another Halloween special coming out on Halloween, which this is the first time I'm mentioning it, so yay.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, just keeping busy. You know, the usual.
Cool.
I saw that animation you made of Vlad, like that, like found footage one. That was really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's actually for the Ghost Zone special. I released that early as like a little teaser for it. But yeah, we've been putting a lot of work into that, and people seem to be liking it. So
nice.
It's fun to work on. Yeah.
Monsters, what depressing thing do you have to tell me this week?
I mean, I recently just did have a little bit of time to rejuvenate myself, but no, I'm doing all right, all things considered. I'm doing a lot better than I was, and I think I'm really just taking things step by step, and I'm grateful that I am doing better, because before I could barely accomplish anything. So I'm just, I'm appreciative that I'm doing a lot better, and that's really all I've been focusing on right now.
That's good, man. That's actually uplifting. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. Just having a good old time with life, keeping very, very busy. Lately, they've been doing a little Halloween event for Pokemon Go, so that's been kind of fun. They got Pokemon costumes out that you can get. You get a Pikachu wearing a Mimikyu costume, which is essentially just a Pikachu costume. It's shenanigans. But yeah, no, I've been doing good.
Cool.
All right, are you guys ready to talk about some Halloween episodes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We were originally just going to talk about ones that we liked, but both Kuro and Shadow told me that they had to think about that, and that it came easier to think about Halloween episodes you don't like.
Yes, that's true.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be talking about ones that we like and ones that we don't like. Monsters.
Yeah.
You want to start us off with one that you like?
Sure. So today I'll be talking about The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. It's a 2010 movie starring Victoria Justice. I'm joking.
I was intrigued for a second. I was like, ooh.
Is that one of those weird CG knockoff movies you find on Netflix?
No, it was on. It's a Nickelodeon movie.
I should have seen that come in with Victoria.
So worse than that.
Brooke Shields, I think, played her mom. It was on like Nick at Night. It was pretty obscure for the time, but in actuality, I think this is a pretty obvious answer for anyone that knows me. I'll be talking about Underfist. Underfist Halloween Bash is the full title. I mean, what is there not to love about it? It's basically a backdoor pilot for a series that Maxwell Adams wanted to do after Billy and Mandy. So the main characters are like Erwin and Jeff the Spider and Hoss Delgado and General Scar and I'm forgetting one person.
Fred Burger.
Fred Burger, of course. Who could forget Fred Burger?
Cartoon Network mascot, beloved hero to all. Partnered with a character we'll be discussing much later in the Cartoon Network Yes era.
Gotta go. No, yeah. So it's basically just a bunch of really cool action. They're fighting candy monsters, dealing with portals to the underworld. It's basically everything wonderful about Billy and Mandy. And I mean, I guess that's an answer if you really want. Like, Billy and Mandy is a very spooky show, so it's that kind of cranked up. And Maxwell Adams is very much into that gothic thing, music from Voltaire. Yeah, it's just a really good time, and it would have been really cool to see this be developed into a series because of how much potential there was. But it's a really fun time, and I highly suggest it if you haven't seen it. I know that they don't air it very often.
It's kind of interesting, right? Because, like, we look down on things like Planet Sheen, but essentially Underfist is taking all of the Sheens of that show. And,
yeah, the side characters and putting them together.
Right. But I guess in fairness, like, not all of those characters are stupid. No,
Fred Burger is.
Right. Fred Burger is, but Erwin is more weird than stupid, and Hoss Delgado has a very special kind of stupid, but he's not just general stupid.
Speaking of general.
With General Scar.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be the better approach than like a Planet Sheen.
Yeah, General Scar is the foil because he's the one that's like, I don't know if you've seen some of the episodes where he becomes Billy's Mander and he gets easily irritated. And I mean, I guess like in Planet Sheen, there's foils, but it doesn't outweigh the silliness. So
I wonder if Planet Sheen would have worked if they had added like Bulby and Nick and like just all of the weird like
boy.
Planet Bulby.
Okay, that's a good one.
I could somehow see Planet Bulby doing better.
Slap, slap, slap.
At least that would be like absurd, you know?
Yeah, like kind of oddball.
Right.
Which Planet Sheen has its moments of, like the Whirly Hoffer, the classic Whirly Hoffer. That's irrelevant.
All right. Hey, Kuro.
Yes.
What's a spoopy episode that you like?
So the one that I chose, I was reminded of during my Avatar rewatch, which is the Puppet Master from season 3.
Jerk!
I knew. I'm so glad you asked me for it, because I was like, oh man, I hope Pi doesn't choose this episode.
You jerk!
I knew it too, because we were both rewatching Avatar, like basically at the same time. Because I started rewatching it for the recast too, and I was like, well, might as well keep going. So now I just finished Korra season 2, so I'm really far.
Wow.
It's $20 for the entire DVD set on Amazon.
Don't you be proliferating inferior.
Somebody say DVDs?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like when I first got the box, I opened it up and 3 of them immediately fell out, and I was like, oh yeah, DVDs. But the Puppet Master. It's one of those episodes where like you can tell it's a Halloween special, but you can air it not as a Halloween special and it'd still be good. And it introduces a new type of bending into the show, blood bending, which is played up like with the classic Halloween tropes, like, oh, there's people going missing in the woods, and then the creepy old lady. But it's done with like that Avatar flavor that, every time Avatar does like its own take on something, it always like makes it so much more unique in its own way. Like when you get to Korra, like bloodbending is such a huge deal in the first season. So like this episode is also an important episode too, so it's not just like a one-off special.
A lot of people also really like the Southern Raiders, which a big part of that has to do with bloodbending, which is set up in this episode.
Oh yeah, that too. But yeah, I think it's all around a good episode. I like how it ends because it does end in a little bit of a tragedy, like as any Halloween special would. But like when dealing with a topic like that, there really is no way for it to end all hunky-dory and whatnot.
It's crazy because at the time in the fandom, like it was just like a dumb joke, like haha, could you bend pee? Like could you bend blood? Like oh, they'll never show that. So they showed that. But yeah, no, I mean, like you're saying, like it's the kind of Halloween special that it's not. As we know with Nickelodeon, if there is a Halloween episode, they will not air that outside of October, no matter what, no matter if it's important to the show or not. They really have an aversion to doing so. But if you make it a spooky episode, or one that is thematically like tied to Halloween but is not a Halloween episode, it could just get aired whenever. It's got all of like the hallmarks. Like they start off telling ghost stories, and they call Hama a witch, and like there's all these like elements of that, but it's not explicitly a Halloween episode, and it's creepy, and it just completely stands on its own as well, even though it leads to further things, and it also brings up like other things, like the fact that their mother died. Like, yeah, the show's just really like head on in terms of addressing things.
Speaking of DVDs, actually, I had this episode. This is crazy because I'm a huge Avatar fan, but I only have one Avatar DVD, and that's Book 3, Volume 2, which has this episode on it.
What?
I don't know. It was like, when the show was airing, it was like on clearance at Walmart or something. It has the Puppet Master on it. It has, I think the last episode is like...
Nightmares and Daydreams?
No, it's the Black Sun Part 1, I think.
Wait, it ends on Part 1?
What?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
Terrible
Man,
DVD.
volumes are so... I hated volumes so much. Just put the whole season on DVD.
God... Monsters, the season sets for Avatar are amazing. I own both the season sets and the full series Blu-ray.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because I've had those sets for a long time because the sets look amazing. Each one of them has like a different stronghold on them, and just like really unique and interesting art with fold-outs and stuff like that. And the Blu-ray doesn't have as nice art on it, but obviously it's a higher quality version on less discs.
Yeah, this episode actually like it genuinely kind of freaked me out when I was younger. It's kind of scary. It gets dark.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean the ending you were talking about is essentially that they beat the bad guy, but at what cost? Like it's I feel like that's a trope. I don't know what you'd call it, but that whole like the bad guy was only like the true victory is in corrupting the villain, the hero, basically. It's not about actually winning the fight. It's about
tearing the Avengers apart.
Right. It's about passing some sort of like forbidden knowledge or something, and in doing so making making it worse. And I mean, it's pretty dark too. Like, who knows how long those people were kept underneath that mountain in chains? Like,
yeah, and how long she's been doing that for too.
Right. And she's just one person. It's not like she's got like a team of people that are feeding these prisoners. It's just like,
yeah,
it's just creepy.
I did look up the DVD information, and the episodes on it are The Avatar and the Fire Lord, The Runaway, The Puppet Master, Nightmares and Daydreams, and The Day of the Black Sun Part 1, The Invasion.
That is the worst way to...
Yeah.
Those are all really good episodes.
You might as well not even include Part 1.
Right. I mean, even Nightmares and Daydreams is a big lead into The Day of Black Sun, so you couldn't have really ended it there, but it's just strange.
Yeah.
Also, special shout-outs to that, like, wonderful squishing sound that's made during the bloodbending. The Avatar team had their own, like, Foley artists, and they did such a great job with the whole show.
They really went into detail with all the kinds of bending in it. Like, when they showed the swamp benders, like, bending the vines because of the water inside of it, or Hama, like, pulling the water out of thin air. I like how in-depth they would get with the bending.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that makes Avatar so great. Little bit less so in Korra, where they play a little more fast and loose with some rules and just kind of invent new things every season. But at least in this episode, like they Hama talks about like some of the practical, like, okay, well, yeah, like you can bend. Basically, there is water in air. Like there's water in plants. There's water all around. And if you really want to survive as a waterbender, you need to know how to use all of it. And the fact that the Fire Nation piped in like hot air, dry air to the water tribe prisoners was just like, man, that's just brutal.
Yeah. And like feeding them through a bucket too. That's horrible.
It's important because season 3, especially like the first half of season 3, the second half of season 3 is essentially just like wrap up the series stuff. But the first half is a lot of like Fire Nation culture, and I think a big part of it was to show that the Fire Nation is not evil. Even within the Fire Nation, just innocent civilians are dealing with just how awful like the military of the Fire Nation is, like polluting the water and doing all this stuff, and they're just average people who aren't good or evil. I mean, they're just normal people living their lives.
Especially those episodes where it's just like Zuko and Azula like just kind of like hanging around and like going to the beach and stuff. Like those, I found those times to be really endearing.
With the Puppet Master, I feel like the point is, it's the same point, but instead of saying, well, not all Fire Nation people are bad, it's saying, well, not all Water Tribe people are just good, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there was like the Master Paku or whoever who was like a sexist jerk, but like she's the first villain waterbender in the entire series and the only one in Avatar until Korra. So that in and of itself is noteworthy. But yeah, no, good stuff. Shadow.
All right, so I decided to pick an episode that it's not really that beloved. Like, it's just kind of like a good episode that I think might be a little underrated. It's actually from Kids Next Door. It's called Operation Tricky. I don't know if you guys any of you guys remember it, but basically,
I kind of remember that
in the episode. So it's this whole idea. It starts with number 4 like hating Halloween. He thinks it's dumb, and number 2 kind of bets him to see who can get more candy, you know, by the end of the night. And number 4 like takes him on because, you know, he's just like that. And he thinks it'll be a piece of cake, and then he finds out he's not really having much luck. Well, I really like this episode because it's a really cool integration of Sticky Beard as a villain, because it kind of fits him as like the candy pirate type thing. And so basically number 4 manages to hitch a ride on the ship, and chaos ensues. He gets, you know, tied up and taken as a prisoner, and he manages to take over the ship. And I just love the whole payoff at the end, because he just crashes the pirate ship into the KND base, and he's got this huge boatload of nothing but candy. Oh my god. It's not like you know, it's not really like a serious episode. It's more of just like a fun little, hey, you know, this is actually pretty good. Cause I'm gonna do a shameless plug here, but I have an Amino, and I do make stories on Amino. You guys should check it out. And I actually talked about this episode in one of my stories, so that's why I kind of wanted to mention it here again. I really like that episode.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that, to be honest.
It's a fun episode. It's not like the super serious, you know, it's just a genuine, entertaining episode. I like it.
Is it 11 minutes? Or
It's
22?
11, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
Like I remember like K&D was like really big like way back in the day, and I was pretty into it.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Kids Next Door is about like everyday kid stuff. So, you know, Halloween's a big deal for ordinary kids. So, of course, it's going to be a huge deal for the kids next door.
Yeah, right.
Neat. All right. Shall we talk about ones that we're not as fond of? I will start so that Kuro doesn't snipe me again. And he might actually, because you know what? We talked about it last year, but I'm going to mention it again. The Danny Phantom Halloween episode is terrible.
Oh, that was my answer.
That was, you know what? I almost chose that. That's so funny. And then I chose something else at last minute because I was like,
Yep. Mm-hmm. You weren't here to talk about it. We talked about it with co-Ink Tank member OR Ash. It still just baffles me. How do you have a show about ghosts and then you mess up the Halloween episode?
That'd be like if Billy and Mandy had a bad Halloween episode, which it does not.
Like the whole thing, it's just like it's about like making a haunted house like really spooky so Danny can win a bet. And there's the Fright Night who's like the most generic villain in the series.
yeah, it was very like cut and dry with the plot. It was like so cliche too.
Yeah, and the Fright Night goes on to be like more interesting when he's serving the other villains, but on his own, he just doesn't have a thing, and it's just
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Why did you pick it, Monsters?
For the same reason. It's a creepy show that has a bad Halloween episode, so that's like extra negative points towards it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first one that came to mind when I was like, yeah, what's a really underwhelming or really bad Halloween episode?
And also, like, I feel like Danny Phantom Season 1 is mostly just good episodes. Like, I feel like this kind of stands out. Shadow, what you got?
All right, so I think I may have mentioned this at some point on the recast before. I feel like I have. But it's I always forget the name of the episode. It's that one Halloween episode of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy where Grim and that kid dressed like a skeleton get switched up. I don't not like that episode at all. Just because, like, Mandy's a jerk to this innocent kid who's done nothing wrong and takes all her candy. And, like, I know Mandy's supposed to be, like, a jerk character, but there's good times when that's used and there's bad times. And I just feel like that's kind of, like, an unnecessarily brutal example. And then on Grimm's side of things, like, there's this woman that takes Grimm into his home. And for the first time since he's been owned by Billy and Mandy, he feels genuine love and happiness from this random woman who's admittedly delusional for thinking that this living skeleton is her son. But, like, you know, she gives him a bath, she reads him a bedtime story, tucks him in, makes him feel like actually loved, and then the episode just strips that away. And it just makes me feel so bad for him because it's like, oh my gosh, that's so brutal. Like, this guy never gets a break, and the one chance he gets it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. It's more of a personal bias. Like, it's not a badly written episode or anything. It's just, it's not the thing I like in a cartoon. So it's more of a personal thing, but yeah.
Okay. Monsters, did you have a runner-up with a certain CG movie?
I mean, well, here's the thing. I mentioned the Scary Godmother movies. I feel like I'm a bit partial to them because of my nostalgia goggles, which are very pronounced. You know, for those of you that grew up watching Cartoon Network, those are just kind of staples. You know, those aired every Halloween and very memorable in that regard. I know for a fact the animation is not aged very well at all. And yeah, I really don't remember much about the plot. I know that there's two of them. I was thinking about a CG Halloween movie that I do enjoy that came out around the same time, which is Monster House.
Hey, of course you'd like that movie.
Monster, yeah. It's quirky. The animation is really cool. I love the story of like the whole backstory behind the house and how it's living. Dan Harmon actually worked on it.
Really? I remember the animation on the house being sick. Like, the house transforms at a few points, and it's just like individual wooden like floorboards come open and undone, and like it's pretty sick.
It almost kind of feels like something that like you could experience. It's just kind of like that one creepy house. It borrows a lot of tropes from like the whole haunted house thing, but the spin on it is really interesting.
Yeah. It's like a mirror version of the film Up.
Yeah.
If his
the old man in his house.
Yeah, if she decided to haunt the house. I'm amazed you didn't mention anything about the Camp Laszlo Halloween episode, Hallow Beanies.
I don't remember that one, to be honest.
Okay, well, that must really say something. Kuro, how about you, bud?
So I just chose this one because I couldn't really think of many Halloween specials, but I remember not liking this one. What was it called? It's the Jimmy Neutron one with the lima beans. Yeah, Nightmare in Retroville.
Oh,
That's like a season 1 episode.
Yeah, it's a very early episode. Yeah, it had the giant lima beans in it. It was like, I think it ended with the whole thing was like a pizza's dream or something.
Oh, it's the
because they had like the pizza
episode.
machine. Yeah, I remember not liking it just because I remember it aired a lot, and it's really just not that interesting. And the more you see it, the more you just get sick of it.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, it's just nothing special, and I've seen it way too much. And it's one of the yeah, it is a season 1 episode, so it was before they got really good at TV CG. And everything just kind of looks rubbery and
those
weird.
pizzas do not have great texture.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my answer. Just it was not good. I didn't like it at all.
All right. Kind of funny that I guess that neither the Powerpuff Girls nor the original Ben 10 had specifically Halloween episodes, though I guess they both had kind of creepy episodes.
In the case of Powerpuff Girls, the original doesn't have a Halloween episode at all. The reboot has 3, but
You know what's considered the original one for as far as Cartoon Network DVDs go?
isn't it Abracadabra or Boogie Frights? Isn't it one of those?
You know, hey, both of those would be good choices, but nope, it's Candy is Dandy.
Are you serious?
Because you cheated Halloween.
Makes so much more sense.
Abracadabra is an amazing dark episode.
It is.
And Boogie Frights, I can see that's got the whole like monster aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's more of a Star Wars episode, but
Well, why don't you tell us about the reboot episodes of Halloween?
all right. So there's 3 reboot episodes. The first one is called The Squashing. I guess it's a play on The Happening. You wouldn't really be able to tell that, but that one basically the girls find this squash monster who they try to take more than one piece of candy from the candy bowl. You know how people have the bowls out? Well, the girls decide to take more than one piece, and he catches them, and he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to beat you up. And they're like, how about this? We're each going to tell you a scary story. And if we scare you, you have to let us go.
What does this have? What does this have to do with the Powerpuff Girls?
I don't know. All right. So, yeah, brief rundown.
By the way, is that a reference to the Great Pumpkin? But a squash?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. So the first one is Buttercup's story, and she's a play on The Walking Dead, actually, it's The Walking Dead and Night of the Living Dead, but it's Night of the Living Bread. So there are all these bread zombies that are closing in on the girls in their home, and if they get you, you turn into bread. Yeah, okay, so that's that one. That's that one. Then we go to Blossom's story. Blossoms is a play on Frankenstein, except Blossom is the doctor, and you want to know who the monster is? I bet you can guess.
The writers of this show?
Well, yes, but it's Jared. Jared's the monster.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
He is a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jared is a monster.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fitting when you put it like that.
Right.
And then the third episode is a complete mood whiplash from the other 2. Bubbles tells this coming-of-age story about this squash who, has a dog and meets this pumpkin and they fall in love. And then the end of the episode is the squash is like, oh my gosh, that was the sweetest story. I feel like so invigorated. I'm going to go out there and get that gourd. That is a direct quote. And then the episode ends with Mojo walking up in an Ada Lovelace costume, which is what Blossom is wearing. And they both go, oh, you got to be kidding me. Another Ada Lovelace. And that's the end of the episode. So there's that one. And then the other 2 aren't nearly as fun to talk about. But the one is Midnight at the Mayor's Mansion. The mayor turns into a pickle monster. And the girls have to chase him around. And then there's Witch's Crew, which is a princess episode where she summons this monster. And yeah, I don't know. They're not as fun when you talk about them in concept. That first one's just like, I mean, it's not like a bad episode, but it's just like, what does this have to do with Powerpuff Girls? Like, really? I don't know. So yeah.
I'm Pickle Rick.
Kuro, is there any like Ben 10 stuff you want to talk about?
Well, Omniverse had an entire Halloween season, technically.
What?
They did. It's out of nowhere, but they had like something called Ben 10 Omniverse Galactic Monsters, and they had a new theme song for it too.
Oh.
And yeah, just the whole season was supposed to be spooky themed, but it was only 3 episodes. So there's 7 episodes with like this Galactic Monsters intro. That's just another episode.
How is it, Kuro? I've talked to you so much about Ben 10. How are there still these weird pockets of just bizarre information that you could tell me? And I'm just sitting here like, why? What? Continue. I don't mean
it's just if you ever get the chance, it's only 20 seconds. Look up the Ben 10 Omniverse Galactic Monsters intro. It's just out of nowhere, and all the aliens in the intro are changed to like the Halloween ones, like the Frankenstein alien and the werewolf alien, and all of them. And yeah, so that was a thing. I still like am baffled they even did it. I don't know why they did it. I don't even remember them advertising it that much, but they did it.
I mean, yeah, so like of the original Ben 10, the season 3 that I'm not super fond of is the one that has kind of a vaguely spooky theme. It's like the main villain's Ghost Freak. That counts, right? Because he got a mummy. And he got a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And he got a werewolf. And he got a Christmas episode. So
yeah.
According to Wikipedia, every iteration of Ben 10 except for Ultimate Alien has had like at least one spooky episode.
Yeah, but there's like a million episodes across the whole thing, so that's not really that surprising.
Yeah.
Well, Ultimate Alien had that one. Actually, you saw it, the one with Albedo, the Nightmare one. That kind of counts.
I guess. Oh, wait, actually, I guess I should give one honorable mention in just the fact that, like, The Simpsons has Halloween episodes every single year.
Oh, Treehouse of Horror?
Yeah, they did their 30th one, I think, last year.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. But basically, those run the gambit of the best and the worst. Although, to be completely fair, after, like, the 3rd or 4th one, they're really not about Halloween and instead are just about, like, what can we do that's non-canon. Like, there's a Harry Potter one.
Oh.
There's a, I think they did Hunger Games this year or last year. I
can at least understand Harry Potter because it's like witches and sorcery and that sort of, but like Hunger Games?
Nothing is scarier than current Simpsons.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to go on our break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about 3 of the Cartoon Network Invaded episodes. And we are back. So, before we talk about the episodes in Cartoon Network Invaded, maybe we should just kind of give like a little brief overview about what Cartoon Network Invaded was. Back in May 2007, I want to say, is when that started. Cartoon Network aired this. They aired all these teasers with like these alien guys, right? These alien guys hosted the in between the episodes, and basically the idea was aliens are invading Cartoon Network. And in each episode, there is going to be aliens invading. And if you watch all 5 episodes, it's 6, but 2 11-minute episodes. Basically, all 5 shows, you get, like, the full story. And there's, like, an extra little thing at the end of the last one that kind of ties things together. Not at all, really. But basically, it was just, like, a big hyped-up event of this, like, pseudo-thematic crossover that was really exciting at the time. Do any of you guys remember watching this?
I remember the promos. I honestly don't even remember if I watched these when they aired. I think I watched like 2 of them and was underwhelmed and didn't watch the others.
Oh, really? I remember I saw every single one of these live except for the Ed, Edd and Eddy one I missed because I think I had some recreational activity going on. But I did see the other 4 live. I remember being like really into this actually.
Mm-hmm. Cartoon Network did a great job promoting it. Like that's ultimately it. It's very weird because this was not a Halloween special, even though we're co-opting it for Halloween because that's kind of when it makes the most sense.
Yeah, why did they do this?
Maybe they meant to air in October, and
maybe this is their answer to like Christmas in July.
Maybe
Halloween in May.
I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I don't know. But you know, they had to have this was not thrown together because in the episodes, although there might not be the best tie-ins between them, it's like very deliberate. Like it's not like there have been other events like Nickelodeon did a night of dancing or something where it really just felt like they just kind of had a few random episodes produced that had to do with dancing and then they just aired them. Like the Drake and Josh episode in particular was just like a holdover. It's the last Drake and Josh episode aired, I believe, and the only one aired during iCarly's time. But yeah, no, this was a very deliberate thing, and other networks have kind of like there's been things done similarly, I guess. Like there was like a shooting star on 3 different Disney Channel
Wish
shows.
Gone Amiss.
Oh yeah. And then if you want to count like the That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana stuff,
Those are more direct crossovers.
if that kind of I mean that's less like that's like actual crossovers.
That's direct crossover. Yeah. And I'm sure there's other examples of this, but Cartoon Network Invaded is the one that sticks out to me the most, probably just because of the branding.
Yeah, it was a big deal. For some reason I always remember this as being either like a one night thing or a 1 week thing, but it was pretty much throughout the entire month of May 2007.
Huh.
Wait, didn't they have like an online game or something that tied to this too?
I'm sure they
Probably.
did. Their website was really cool.
Yeah, their website was like they put a lot of effort into their website back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
The one I remember the most vividly is the Ed's episode. I know for a fact I watched that one live. Not the other ones as much, but prior to this recast, I have seen all of the episodes of the Invaded event at least once.
I mean, the other thing that's kind of like special about this is unlike some of the other events that we mentioned, these are very different shows. You know, I guess you could say Gym Partner and Camp Lazlo had a little bit of the same stuff going on, but like Ed, Edd, and Eddy and like Foster's are just completely different visual and tonal shows. You would never expect them to cross over. Although, ironically, there also was that cameo in another episode of Foster's.
Yeah.
That weird thing. But this is about as close as you can come to a crossover for Ed, Edd, and Eddy within Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Certainly, there were bumpers and stuff that Cartoon Network produced. But,
And the little joke from Grim Adventures of
Oh yeah, I was
K&D.
just thinking that too.
Oh, that's true. But that's not within Ed, Edd, and Eddy. So take that.
Ah.
All right, on to the episodes.
Oh yeah.
You know what, Kuro? Why don't you explain to me about the first episode, Cheese a Go-Go from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
Oh boy, well it's one of those episodes where like a lot of things are happening at the same time. Cheese is going nuts saying gotta go pretty much through the whole episode, and Frankie's trying to chase him down and figure out where he's going, and then Eduardo, who is at the dentist, gets roped into it, and he's
been drugged up.
Yeah, he's been drugged up by the dentist juice. Madam Foster was taken to court by, what's his name?
Jackie Cones.
Jackie Cones, who was the highlight of the episode, by the way. To court over a sandwich. And then Blue, which, as you can tell already, a lot of this really doesn't have to do with the whole invaded theme. But Blue sees a movie and thinks Cheese is an alien. And is trying to like capture him, and like he thinks he's thwarting off an alien invasion, and the whole thing ends with you never find out where Cheese had to go. Sometimes he has to go.
Yeah. So essentially, it's like Frankie kind of running chores around town, picking up people.
Yeah.
There isn't like a great story. Like even like.
Yeah, when I was thinking about how to describe this, I was like, what really happened? It's kind of just, things happening.
It's just them chasing after Cheese.
Yeah.
There's no actual plot until like 10 minutes in, which is when they're on the bus and like Blue opens up the magazine and then starts confiding in Mac that like Cheese is an alien.
Yeah.
And then maybe he is or something at the end. There's like
well, that's a running theme that we'll start to get to.
Yeah.
The whole there is no alien, but maybe mark. Oh, which is so dumb. Just do it or don't.
Yeah, all these episodes kind of play that same card in their own way.
Yep. These 3 episodes in particular are all very similar. Yeah. I've made it relatively clear that although I kind of like a lot about Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Blue kind of ruins the show for me. And it's not just Blue. In this episode, for whatever reason, everyone is awful to each other. Like everyone, aside from maybe like Mac and Will. I don't, because like
Even Frankie?
Frankie's terribly rude to like the people at the post office. Now it's not necessarily her fault because Madame Foster's yelling in her ear, but like she runs into the movie theater and like starts screaming and chasing. Like I sympathize with her, but like I don't know. It's just like I don't like any of the characters here.
Is that her fault though, or is that Cheese's fault?
She doesn't have to be chasing Cheese.
But she feels bad.
Well, I guess I'm not assigning blame, but you don't think it's rude to hold people up in the postage line on the phone to scream at the guy just because she's on the phone, which she shouldn't be anyway? Like,
that's fair.
Yeah, that's a bit rude.
I'm not necessarily blaming her, but I'm just saying like that's
I'm just saying like sometimes you have a bad day and like I mean obviously it's not right to inflict your own pain onto other people, but like I understand where she was.
Frankie has like a bad life.
Yeah, well, she's the butt monkey of all the characters. She's got the purest intentions in that she's just trying to get everyone home. She's trying to save Cheese, who, by the way, runs into traffic at one point. Like, good job, Louise. Way to care about your imaginary friend. Oh, he's just got to go sometimes. It's like, great, he's going to go straight into traffic. Is that what you want? Is that what you want, Louise?
The amount of property damage.
Maybe she wants it. Maybe we all want Cheese to run into traffic.
She's just looking the other way.
There was a time on Cartoon Network where Cheese and Fred Burger were the mascots, and I want to make sure no one forgets this.
Oh, I don't think I'll ever forget
The
that.
coveted Yes era in 2006.
Yeah, that was like that period of cartoons was not a great happy
You know,
time.
I didn't watch Billy and Mandy at that time, and every time I saw Fred Burger, for the longest time, I could not figure out where he was from or what he even was, and why this thing was screaming yes at me, until one day I finally, like, somehow made the connection.
Yes.
Don't forget Tupai that they have Blue voiceovers in those bumpers too, because it was Blue saying Cartoon Network. Yes.
Oh yeah, didn't they have like didn't they make the Hot and Topeka thing a bumper that was reoccurring a lot?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's
that.
burned into my brain. But yeah, as you can guess, like a whole episode where like several different characters are acting a little bit like Blue, it's not really my cup of tea. I don't know why they thought that Cheese screaming "Gotta go" for 22 minutes straight was ever a good idea.
This was like season 6, right?
Yeah, this was
Season
pretty,
five.
Pretty far. Season 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how I don't know why I even liked Cheese as a kid. Like, I don't know. I guess I liked him when I was younger, but like this episode,
I did
was like,
too.
wow, this really used to appeal to me because, oh my gosh, he would not shut his mouth. It was easily the biggest like annoyance for me out of all of these episodes was just Cheese just saying the same thing over and over again. Like, I get it, okay? Like, it's not going to be funny the 5th time. Like, if I don't know.
I have
was
that
really a
same
fan of
thing
that.
because a few months ago I watched the episode The Big Cheese, which is kind of similar in that like Cheese causes an issue and everybody has to like figure out like what's wrong with him, and it gave me a headache.
honestly, I don't think I've seen it in a while. I don't think I made it that far in my Foster's rewatch. But the original Cheese episode, at least it's got like the charm of being the first Cheese episode. And I remember there being like interesting jokes about like blue cheese and mac and cheese and stuff.
Yeah.
Hot Rod
but-
Flames, bunnies.
But
Yes, the bunnies episode.
I like chocolate milk.
but I really can't say like the same for any other of Cheese's appearances. I really feel like it's like, he was all right for his first appearance and like the novelty of him, and then after that, it's just like, what? Why? I mean, honestly, it's the same for Fred Burger, to be completely honest. But it's not even just Cheese, because it's just like the whole episode is like it defies. It's not. There's no satisfying payoffs to anything. It's like all the characters end up in jail. Like that's the big joke at the end. There's no. We don't get to find out why Cheese, unless he is an alien. Is he legitimately an alien? Maybe that's.
We'll never know.
Well,
Yeah.
how is that the case too if Louise was the one that created him?
Maybe Cheese created Louise, and she's a robot.
Like, how do you differentiate aliens in a world where you can create imaginary friends and like you could probably create an imaginary friend that is an alien?
Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the problem with a lot of these episodes in Invaded is the fact that they take place in shows that do not have aliens and will not show aliens unless it's a dumb ending gag. Because, I mean, Ed Edd won't even show you another character, let alone an alien. My gym partner's a monkey might be weird, but doesn't have aliens, kind of, sort of. Foster's doesn't. The only thing magical in Foster's is generally imaginary friends and the byproducts of imaginary friends. There isn't like magic in that world. Camp Lazlo, I don't know. They don't have any rules. They don't care. They'll show aliens. And then Billy and Mandy, at least it's consistent. But with these 3 episodes, it's like, what's the point of doing an alien special if you're like too afraid to show actual aliens?
Yeah, it is kind of weird to think about because it doesn't really fit any of them.
Why wasn't Ben 10 involved in this?
Yeah, right?
I was just thinking, like, the show about aliens didn't get like that. Well, maybe it's because it always has aliens, but even so.
You mean a show airing at the time that was about aliens and alien Yeah, I mean, because
it's the only show out of these that would be like plot heavy.
I guess.
I mean, maybe they could have had an episode that ended with like the UFOs like going out into space, and those are the UFOs that are in all the shows.
Yeah, I mean, you could imply that it's like Vilgax's crew that's coming. I don't know if Man of Action would have played that game, but I mean, yeah, to be fair, like, it's not like they felt the need to really tie these together closely other than references generally.
I wonder what the meeting was like for this. Like, they probably only just met once and was like, you need to put aliens in your episode, and that was it.
Well, like, that's the thing, right? Because to do a special like this, you do need to coordinate across several different teams. And, like, on the one hand, I like ideas like this, but on the other hand, I do feel like, well, this must have been a Cartoon Network mandate. So maybe this episode sucks because...
Like, sucks in protest?
Yeah, maybe Craig McCracken was like, what, you want me to put aliens in Foster's? Like, no, screw you. Here's Cheese yelling at you for 22 minutes. I don't know if Craig McCracken would do that. But Chatter, do you think Craig McCracken would do that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I will say this episode is clever in some places. Like, when Blue shows Mac the magazine where Cheese looks like one of the aliens, the cover has an alien that looks like Wilt.
I think that's a reference to another episode, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
No, that was this episode.
No, but doesn't Wilt turn into look like a werewolf in another episode? I'm pretty sure he does.
Maybe you're thinking of Nightmare on Wilson Way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
But they also, it says Werewolf Visits London, which is a reference to the song, oh god, I remember. American Werewolf in London. Yeah, the Warren Zevon song. It sounds like Sweet Home Alabama. But there's that, but also, yeah, the whole court sequence I found really funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like
the fact that it was all over because obviously, like, when he said, like, that's a load of baloney, or when Madame Foster was like, that's a load of baloney, and then he was like, no, it's tuna. Like, the fact that they made this entire, like, 2 or 3 minute bit over a stupid non sequitur joke, I just found that hilarious. But
I found it pretty funny too. Well, I found it funny in comparison to everything else that happened in the episode, which is why I said, like, the green guy. Okay. I already forgot his name. I feel bad.
No, you shouldn't feel bad because Jackie Cones is obnoxious in most of the episodes. And basically, like, all he does is argue with Madame Foster. That's his character.
He has his own episode, like, at the end of season 6.
It's bad. Also, might I point out that canonically he punched a cop in the face.
Jackie Cones don't mess around.
No.
But I also love how the judge plays it so seriously. Like, I think that adds a lot to the comedy of it. Because I feel like in a lot of scenarios, like, if they were arguing over a sandwich, they'd have the cop play kind of like the character representing the audience and just kind of like, are you serious? You guys are fighting over a sandwich. But no, like, it seemed very funny that way. And how Wilt was also, like, trying to be the lawyer on the spot.
How about the fact that Madame Foster is just, like, a jerk to Frankie?
We've seen it before.
Poor Frankie, man.
Yeah, everyone just seemed, like, miserable in this episode, except
right?
for Eduardo.
Okay, can I point out? Okay, Eduardo has a line where he says something like, "Oh, Blue, you're such a jerk, but, you know, it's okay, because you're so funny." And I'm just like, this is what the writers must think. This is it. Here it is. Here's the explanation. They think he's funny, which fair enough. It's subjective. You know, if Blue is funny, then certainly the show is super funny because it's all about Blue. But no, thank you.
Yeah, this episode doesn't have too much to go off of.
No, it's just it feels like it's supposed to be kind of like a like a comedy of errors or something, where it's like a bunch of mini stories that collide or something, but they don't collide.
They don't build to anything.
No, it's just Frankie driving the bus around, and then they lose Cheese, and then they all end up in jail. But like even that is just dumb because it's like, why is Mac in jail? What did he do? What did Wilt do? Like what did Wilt? I guess was trying to catch Eduardo, who's nude. Like,
I think that's the implication, but still,
it's just like a dumb, flimsy way to get the dumb thing at the end. Also, Coco, way to not care about your friends and instead go eat sandwiches. Like, I'm not a fan of this one. And I mean, really, it's like not even like, yes, she's saying gotta go over and over again is obnoxious and awful and just almost objectively a terrible decision. Almost. I'm sure there's some people out there that like that, and that's fine. But like, that's not even why I don't like the episode. It just really is just a series of very unsatisfying things, really. Like, I feel like it's supposed to be really funny at the end that like, haha, Cheese was doing this for nothing. But it really just feels like a big like refusal to be satisfying or have any sort of payoff.
Hey, Pie.
Yeah.
Would you dare to call this episode a series of unfortunate events?
Sure. You know, I kind of liked that there was like a possum stuck to Frankie at the end.
Oh, I like that.
I like it because they don't acknowledge it. It's like a good visual gag that they don't beat you over the head with. I also like the part where Cheese almost got ran over by traffic, but hey, Shadow, the observatory looked vaguely like Mojo Jojo's lair. Isn't that neat?
Wow, how exciting! I mean, like, I guess I can see maybe the episode kind of serves as like a setting up. Like, Blue contacted the aliens, which is why they appear in all the other episodes. Like, that's the only real connection I even saw in this entire thing.
Okay, so yeah, so I guess we can go into that. Which, by the way, first of all, like, why? Can I just say, is an observatory like a communications tower? Like, in real life, is that a thing, or is this just like?
I mean, at least the one I've been to, no. But maybe
there's a big telescope.
Yeah,
because like typically like the communication stuff's like Area 51 satellites, that sort of thing,
right.
Not an observatory.
Wouldn't you go to like a radio station or something? Like,
yeah, you'd want like satellite dishes and things to send frequencies and radio waves and stuff.
But yeah, no. In the overarching meta of the Cartoon Network Invaded storyline, this episode, so the packages that Frankie mails out at the beginning, they all show up in the other 4 episodes, the other 4 shows, which is like neat, but that doesn't. It's just neat. Like, yeah. That's it. It doesn't enhance the episodes. It ties them together in only the most superficialist of ways. But yes, Blue calling the aliens is, I guess, the setup. I guess,
if you want to call it that, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever want to see Eduardo nude?
Nope.
Okay.
But I did anyways.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready to move on. I think we gotta go.
I see what you did there.
What, do any of you have anything else positive to say other than the Jackie Cones lawsuit?
It reminded me I liked Foster's, but it didn't remind me why.
oh man.
So there's that.
I feel that. And visually, it looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's late in the series, so they got their animation down.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to one that's, in my opinion, just slightly better, if not much better. The Edds are coming. Monsters. How about you explain this one?
Sure. So the episode starts out with Jimmy almost kind of having this fever dream. Like, he's in this fantasy land where everything's going great. And he's about to meet up with Sarah. And as they're about to, I guess, embrace each other, there's this giant kind of robotic cleave that goes down. And the world just kind of goes crazy. And there's these big robotic alien things that are lifting up pieces of the cul-de-sac and ripping it up and lifting it up. And it was a nightmare, and Jimmy wakes up from it, and he's clearly kind of like offset.
Dude, can I get the Cliff Notes version? Come on, man. Come on. Just
Sorry.
just like one line, like the cul-de-sac.
Okay, so Jimmy's really disoriented, and there's strange things going on in Rolf's house, and they think that there's an alien in there, and they go there to see what's going on.
Thank you. But at the time you're getting into the headspace of Jimmy, I don't know that you're giving a synopsis anymore. Okay. I liked this one a lot better.
Me too.
Same here.
I felt it was more tolerable.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've never been a huge fan of Ed and Eddy humor, but I've always had an appreciation for the show when I watch it.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
I thought it was way more entertaining than the first one.
Yeah.
I thought that especially with that nightmare sequence, was like this huge, like, whoa, where's this coming from? Because you don't really see that kind of like, supernatural alien machine thing happen in Ed, Edd and Eddy very often at all, which I thought was really cool. And I love the coloring on it too, how it goes from these bright greens to like these dark purples and magentas. I thought that really enhanced it.
Yeah, I believe this episode, at this point in the series, I'm pretty sure Ed, Edd and Eddy is digitally inked, if I'm not mistaken.
You're correct.
And yeah, I feel.
Wait, I'm sorry. You think there might be hand drawn animation in 2000, or you might be non-digital ink in 2007?
You never know. But yeah, no, like it was. I feel like I still have an appreciation for the cell animation of times past, but no, I feel like the digital enhancements really helped it, and I don't think it could have been possible with all these filters and weird color changes and things like that if it wasn't.
And yeah, I would say that opening nightmare sequence, although not really like crucial to the story, is maybe one of the most artistically valid things that Ed, Edd and Eddy's ever done.
Yeah.
Very surreal. Also worth pointing out that there's another voice on the show. That's Danny Antonucci as the son. And that's about the only other voice you will hear in the entire series aside from Eddie's brother.
What does he say? He's like, "Hey there, Mr. Jimmy, how's the day going?" or something.
Something like that. It's very strange. Yeah, it's very like un-Ed, Edd and Eddy in the beginning, almost. And I feel like that's kind of what's cool about it. I also really liked that this episode was from Jimmy's perspective, because across the entire show, there have been maybe 1 or 2 episodes from Jimmy's perspective, but it's not common, and he's really the only other character that gets the focus aside from the Eds. There's one notable episode where the Eds don't appear until the very end. But other than that, basically, like, Jimmy is kind of like the fourth protagonist, I guess, if you want to call him that, just based upon having a few different episodes around him. But it's still really neat. It's neat to see it from his perspective. It's a choice that it doesn't necessarily need to be that way, but considering he is the most timid and scaredy of all the kids, him kind of leading the charge that there are aliens invading makes sense.
Yeah.
Except there are aliens.
I hate the ending. The ending's the only part of this episode I don't like. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Ooh, the aliens.
For those that didn't seen it, this basically a UFO takes the entire cul-de-sac into space.
And they also seem to not notice that.
Yeah, somehow. They like all just go inside.
And there's no discernible reason for why aliens are kidnapping this one cul-de-sac.
Nope.
It just...
Because it's purgatory, guys. They're playing into the creepypasta theory.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just dumb. And again, but it had to kind of be there, because otherwise this would have nothing to do with any of the other episodes. I mean, it still doesn't have anything to do with the other episodes. Like, okay, arguably, if you were trying to piece this into a narrative, the Eds are coming, quote unquote, defines the aliens a little better, because the research that Double D does has like heat vision and I think they mentioned a love of cheese or whatever. And those are things that are consistent with the rest of the episodes. But like, just...
And although some may find it obvious too, I still do find it clever that, I mean, obviously Rolf is quirky, so he would be a great candidate for an alien anyway, but Rolf is an alien because he's an immigrant, you know? Right. So like, I thought that was really funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know how obvious or unobvious I figured it was as a kid. As an adult, like, once you've seen the episode, you're not really gonna forget what's going on. So I can't tell you whether it's obvious or not, but they do a lot of really clever things with it, and along with like that introductory nightmare sequence. I love just like the atmosphere around Rolf's house in this episode. There's like a green fog. There's like the heat wave effect.
That weird comet.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the whole like the heat wave that has like a perfect circle radius around the snow. That's just such a cool visual way to show that it's a lot hotter, right? I mean, obviously there's like the heat of filter thing, and the characters say it's hotter, but just like you visually see immediately, there's something really wrong with this picture.
Yeah. Of course, there was a few movie references, like Eddy has the vacuum, kind of like a Ghostbusters thing. I'm sure that there was a few others that I didn't catch up on.
There's like jerky characters in all of these episodes. I mean,
Yeah.
Eddy is the eternal jerk, but yeah, no, all of these episodes have jerky characters. And I was also trying to see if it's a running theme that like there's a character that tries to profit off the alleged alien. And the Edds Are Coming and that Darn Platypus both have that element of profiting off of it.
I'll say that kind of like what we were talking about with Kids Next Door earlier, like obviously the show it's focused on kids, and it did kind of bring me back to that time in my childhood where like it still has some of those elements of like the classic Ed and Eddy imagination thing where it's just like using creative solutions to solve problems or try to scam people, whatever, but also kind of that gullibility of like being scared of almost anything. Because like when you're a kid, some people are scared of the dark. Some people like there's like maybe like there's like a radiator on or something, but kids think that there's like a monster beneath their bed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's that kind of thing too, where they have this whole operation and they get scared over this. I mean, granted though, like I would be scared in this situation too because of all the odd things that are happening.
And I love just how weird Rolf's relatives are, that they wear these like squids on their head, and they use their guests as ottoman. like when you hear Ed say that at the beginning, that like they're being used for ottoman, you think maybe that's a part of Ed's imagination with the rest of it, but like nope, they want to use Eddy's flat head as an ottoman.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And this goes without saying too, because this I guess applies to the whole series, but Ed and Eddy's sound design is so great. Just like you notice those little things too, where Kevin's like, all right, fine, I guess I'm going to be the one to take charge. And then he starts walking towards Rolf's house, and then everyone else starts following him in like a little huddle, and there's a sheep noise that plays.
It's also interesting in that it's an episode where almost the whole cast, or almost the whole cul-de-sac, aside from Rolf, is together on an issue. Because of the limited amount of characters in Ed, Edd, and Eddy, generally speaking, there has to be characters who are antagonists, whether that means that there's people that the Eds are trying to scam, or whether the Eds are being bullied, or whether there's like a mystery and someone did it or something. Like there's almost always one of the characters has to be the bad guy. And so to see the whole cul-de-sac kind of teaming together on this very strange issue, it's nice. I don't know. It's nice to see towards the end of the series.
Yeah. And like using Naz as some sort of human bait.
That was funny. I love that part.
Yeah, I love Double D trying to like rationalize it. She just smacks him in the face. Oh man, no other show does like visual cartoon violence as good as Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Like
the ways too that like everyone was ineffective too, like Johnny with the ketchup and the mustard, and like
right. I love how he gets stuck and he still squirts the ketchup and mustard like he's shooting him. Ed and the gutter
like
balls.
Sarah with the cologne.
Yeah. Dandy, which if you didn't catch was made by Jimmy with dandelions. Dandelion juice cologne. Oh man.
No wonder it's so pungent.
Right?
I did like this episode. Like I said, I'm not too big of a fan of Ed, Edd, and Eddy's humor, but this episode I did really like the intro. Being an artist, I liked all the colors and everything, like Monsters was saying. But again, it just kind of felt like the episode before this and the episode we're about to talk about, where it's just a very similar plot. Everyone thinks someone's an alien. It turns out there's not, but then maybe there's aliens. But I guess it was nice to see all the characters how they would handle this situation. And like you said, like it was good seeing them all work together instead of being against each other.
I will say of all three, this is the only one that doesn't have it doesn't pretend like Rolf's families really are aliens. There is still a dumb fake out alien gag, but at least we didn't get like what we got with Cheese or the next episode. This one pretty concretely says, yeah, no, they're just weird foreigners. So I can just ignore the last like 15 seconds of the episode, and I'm cool with that. How about you, Shadow?
I found it really interesting, honestly. I thought it was weird, actually, that ending, seeing like Rolf's relatives were there, but not, because it was like an acknowledgement of other people in their presence.
Yeah.
And you could see him through the window. It's just like, that was like really off-putting to me, because it's like, yeah, they reference their parents and stuff, but you never like know that they're there.
I mean, there was an episode where we see Ed's dad's arm, or
true.
Eddie's dad's arm, like their arms. I mean, come on, they gotta cheat it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
you see their silhouettes.
right.
But you liked it overall?
Yeah, overall, I really liked the episode. I thought it was entertaining. Especially because I don't have that many memories of the late seasons of Ed, Edd and Eddy, season 5 and the one episode of season 6. So for it to be, pretty good overall, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is still pretty good. This is the Ed, Edd and Eddy I know and love. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Nice. All right, let's move on to that Darn Platypus.
Makes me think of like the title, because it's like it's almost saying another swear word, so it's almost like it reminds me of the theme song where he's like, going to this school is a pain in the
Adam.
What? I was gonna say neck.
Shadow, would you like to give us the synopsis?
Yeah, so this synopsis is pretty straightforward. It's basically just that there's this like, I guess it's late at night or early in the morning, and there's like this meteorite or something that like crashes behind the school. And then the next day there's this new kid, and he's kid in quotes. He's a platypus. And which is an interesting animal to choose, because obviously a platypus is very unique and different from every other animal out there. So I can see how the other animals would react to it being an alien. But yeah, he basically just goes around the school making jokes about, how he's an alien and he likes brain juice, and he's voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. So yeah, that's basically it.
Hey, it's Perry.
I'd take Perry over Rick Platypus any day.
Rick Platypus. I don't know what it is about characters named Rick overplaying jokes. Hey everybody, it's Platypus Rick.
I'm an alien. I drink brain juice.
I guess on a base level, I could say it was pretty surreal for me to see this show in like widescreen HD. After having just years and years of memories of watching it, in 4:3, just kind of weird. My opinion on My Gym Partner's Monkey. I know there are certain people out there who are not fans of the show, and I don't know that I'd really say I'm a fan of the show. But like I think it's just kind of like a perfectly average cartoon around the time. Like, didn't really stand out in too many ways. It was similar to things like Camp Laszlo. Not just what?
I don't think
dare
so.
you.
It was in terms of an animal
Animals.
cast. Okay, and the sense of humor.
I can name like 20 other shows that have anthropomorphic animals.
airing on Cartoon Network in 2007.
Fine.
Both of the monkeys are orange.
Yeah, They're not identical, but just like aesthetically, there's similarities with other things happening. Yeah. So I think it doesn't hold a, and I don't think it's great or by any stretch, but I don't think it was necessarily a bad show. Although this episode didn't necessarily do the show any favors.
No.
I cannot remember the last time I watched this show, but I am almost certain it was over 10 years ago. I have never had any desire to go back to this show, and quite frankly, if we weren't doing this Invaded, I have no idea when I would return to it, if ever. So getting to go back to it was very surreal for me in that regard. This episode did not make me want to return to it anymore. I mean, I'm sure there are other episodes that are, way more engaging, but this is not like, oh yeah, I'm hooked again, let's go. Now, this is, like you said, very average, very okay. And I didn't hate it while it was on. I'd watch it if it was there, but it never stuck out to me like Foster's or
right.
Kids
Never
Next
had any
Door did.
cultural significance.
No.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so they got Gilbert Gottfried to be very annoying which I guess is an option. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You guys ever see that SpongeBob episode, Rip Pants?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Do you want to watch a version of it where the where the person making all the jokes is just like genuinely making really obnoxious jokes to the audience too, and it has a really abrasive voice, and it goes on for 22 minutes? No? Why not, guys? What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong about an episode about a character who's intentionally very obnoxious?
Listen, to quote the great Rick Platypus himself, he said, he said, comedy is subjective.
Hey, comedy is subjective!
And I can't agree with him more, because in my subjective view, the comedy in this episode was not good.
I'm pretty sure he didn't say anything, he just screamed it.
Comedy is subjective.
I like brain juice. Oh my god.
One part of the episode I actually did find pretty funny, and I guess this wasn't even Rick's doing really, but like he ends up in the water and he's like, I can't swim, and then like Adam's just laughing and he just drowns and he floats to the bottom. Like, out of context, it's hilarious because Adam's just like laughing while this platypus is drowning.
Well, I mean, Foster's also almost killed off the annoying character in that episode, so maybe that's a theme. Yeah, no, you know, one thing I will also say, and this also has nothing to do with Rick, but I did like the interplay between Principal Pixie Frog and the secretary. I think his name is just Warthog.
Yeah.
Where they have this, like, really, like, I don't know, they got this kind of sweet back and forth with each other where he's, like, braiding her hair, and they're, like, chatting and just kind of, like, I don't know, I found that kind of funny.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I like Principal Pixie Frog, but I kind of side with Shadow with this show where, like, I can't imagine I would ever watch this show, have it not been for this recast. And listening to the theme song, I am surprised that played at the beginning of every single episode. Like, that's gotta go cheese levels of obnoxious, in my opinion.
Aw, but he used to go to a human school.
It's not even a song though. It's like let's just say something and scream monkey. And
Yeah,
there
my
you
favorite
go.
lyric is monkey, monkey, monkey.
This is the predecessor to Monkey Army.
Well, to be...
And like every other character is voiced by Grey Delisle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will, like, of watching these episodes, and we're still only halfway in, this has definitely given me the genuine 2007 Cartoon Network experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, in the age of, like, binging, there is something very, like, strange and weird and interesting about watching, like, 3 episodes from shows that air at the same time and have this, like, horribly loose connection to each other, but are otherwise just separate shows. But watching them all back to back is something.
Yeah.
No, did they air like one episode per day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like Monday through Friday, one a night.
No, it was a month-long event.
How'd they make this last?
No,
a
but
month?
didn't they just do it one a day and then they re-aired it after?
I don't think so.
I could have sworn that's what they did.
That's what I remember. Adam's friends spend most of the episode doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then when they do something, they find, like, it's the weirdest thing because they're like, oh, I know what to do. And then they go down to, like, the Dungeons and Dragons basement, which is apparently D&D is a great game to play at school. It probably isn't. But they go down with these nerds, and they're, like, ineffectual weirdo nerds that are just role-playing, but then they just have this machine that can vaporize things. And for some reason, all the animals decide to get into the gumball machine-looking thing, and they vaporize the shark guy for, like, a split second.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of funny as well.
These episodes aired a week apart
Oh,
from
really?
each other. Yeah, so She's a Go-Go was on May 4th, The Eds Are Coming was on May 11th, and then That Darn Platypus was on May 18th.
He was right.
God, imagine for just a week you just had Cheese a Go-Go, and that was your Cartoon Network Invaded.
I'm anticipating what the aliens are going to do next.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so, you know, in terms of tie-ins, the Eds show up, like, very poorly off-model.
They're also on a magazine, I believe, right?
Yeah, that surprised me. I was like, wow, that's straight
Yeah.
up the Eds right there.
I wish they would have gotten, like, Antonucci or someone to draw him, because it looked like it was, like, My Gym Partner's a Monkey trying and not doing well. But yeah, no, they specifically reference that the cul-de-sac has been abducted.
Yeah, Makes you wonder where they got that picture.
Yeah, right? Also, you gotta love that they're in their usual attire and not their winter attire like they were for that episode.
Yeah.
Great. Continuity. There's that tie-in. There's one of the boxes that Frankie shipped out shows up somewhere. I don't remember where. And
there's cheese.
Yes, the alien likes cheese. And has like they claim that it has special vision or whatever, like heat vision. And I guess the meteorite lands, the one that was crashing in Foster's. But like why would the aliens abduct the So, to get the timeline straight, assuming like cheese isn't an alien, the Blue sends out a message to aliens. The aliens come down as a meteorite. Somewhere along the lines, they also just yoink this cul-de-sac into space, and then also they crash land with I don't know.
With Rick Platypus.
With Rick
who
Platypus.
may or may not be an alien.
God, oh my God, this is the worst one with the may or may not be an alien thing.
Yeah, he was like in an actual UFO, right?
He was an actual alien when Adam sees it.
Here's the thing, though. At least out of the 3 episodes, I feel like this one, in terms of just the ending and connecting it to the rest of the Invaded storyline, I feel like this is at least the least tagged on, if that makes any sense. Because like the Ed's one almost it feels like its own thing. And
the Ed's one is its own, like, because when you also think about like crash landings are a theme throughout all these, but the crash landing in the Eds is not the aliens crash landing, it's Ed crash landing. Like, did we ever find out why the power is out? Is it it
was the meteorite, I think, right?
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yes. Okay, I mean,
It was
spoilers.
an EMP. I don't know.
And then the power just randomly kind of comes on, right?
Yeah.
When it's like the principal and the secretary.
Spoilers for next week's recast. I don't particularly think the overarching storyline in Invaded was executed anything close to well. I don't know about you guys. We can talk about it more next week. But
like how it all connects.
Yeah.
I had really fond memories of this.
I don't remember if it gets any more elaborate than just UFOs showing up. I actually don't remember how this all ends, so I'm hoping I'll at least
well,
be surprised, to say the least. I hope it's something.
Since you don't remember, let me ask a question. Do you think at any point actual aliens show up?
I mean, unless, like, counting the ones that technically already did? Like, no. I don't know. Like, I don't think we're ever going to actually see an alien. I think at best we're going to see, like, an alien hand, like, reach onto the screen and press a button or something.
Okay. Okay. Don't tell him. Yeah, well, because the reason I ask is just because based upon these first 3 episodes, I would probably guess that the other ones we're going to watch, I know it, I remember what happens, but I would probably guess that all the rest of them are just the characters assume one of their friends is an alien.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
Which, by the way, there is a Camp Laszlo episode with that plotline. We reviewed it a year ago.
Yep, beans are from Mars, which is where the Squirrel Scouts think that Laz, Raj, and Clam. Did I just say Laz?
Oh, I remember listening to this episode.
Laszlo, Raj, and Clam. The Squirrel Scouts think that they're aliens.
Yeah. My gym partner's a monkey. I like the setting of the school.
Yeah, it's a cool world building, at least.
Yeah, like how there's like tubes for the fish to go in and out of rooms, and like there's waterfalls and.
Yeah, it's nice.
I also it's like a very subtle visual gag, but I forget her. It's not Nina, I don't think. Is it Nina? The giraffe?
Yes.
Yeah. The fact that her head is always out of screen.
Yeah, that's always a good gag. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like if this was an 11-minute episode, I don't think I'd have minded. Because really, I think the obnoxiousness of this episode comes from the fact that this story is not a story that fits 22 minutes. Because nothing, like, escalates or changes. It's just like...
It's not Nina, it's Ingrid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nina's the giraffe from Camp Laszlo, which is why I think...
Same, probably. But yeah, nothing about it, like, changes. It's basically just this platypus shows up, he tells dumb jokes, Adam's like, oh, he's not so bad. Don't judge him just because he's different. And then he continues to make dumb jokes, and Adam gets frustrated. And then at one point, Adam just finds him funny again. And then it ends with like this weird like Adam straight up sees him as an alien, and then they're just like, LOL, JK, not really. And then he is in a ship, and it just do something, stick to one, like.
But they got to keep you tuning in until next week to see if he's an alien or not.
But he doesn't show up again because it's.
Maybe they were planning to do a spin-off of Rick Platypus.
Rick Platypus and Morty. Oh god. He's
Oh yes, Rick Platypus.
I mean, I feel like in the first half of the episode I did tolerate it and kind of found it funny that he just it's Gilbert Gottfried telling these really awful jokes like, ha ha, I am an alien, I eat brain juice. That is funny. It's just the fact that this episode stretches that over and over and over again that you're just like.
I'd argue that all of these episodes could have been 11 minutes.
Yeah.
None of these really had to have been a half hour.
Yeah, and we know that it's not mandatory that they were because the Camp Lazlo one is 2 11-minute episodes. So
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Ed, Edd and Eddy episode as is, but I could also see an 11-minute episode of that just being fine, or 11-minute version being fine. You trim a little bit of the fat away and whatever. But yeah, none of them feel like these are stories that needed to be 22.
Yeah.
How about you, Shadow? How'd you feel about my gym partner? This episode in particular, not the show.
Like I said, it didn't give me any motivation to go and watch any more of it. I thought that it was basically just, again, kind of like Cheese a Go-Go, the same joke over and over again. Very flat. Didn't particularly remember liking any of these characters very much, and I still don't. I mean, maybe I'd make an exception for the principal, and I do remember liking the shark character that I can't remember the name of, but he was barely in this episode.
Right.
So, yeah, overall, it was just kind of like, it wasn't as obnoxious as Cheese, but he was still annoying, so
right.
I wasn't really sold on it.
Just to put that in perspective, Gilbert Gottfried screaming the same joke over and over is less obnoxious than Cheese.
Yeah, well, we like Gilbert Gottfried.
That's an achievement.
All right, well, before we get into comparisons, let's do a little viewer comment time. All right, so from Toon J, I have to say, The Edds Are Coming is the best one out of this bunch. This is my first time watching a Season 5 episode, as I was banned from watching the show back in 2004, and for some reason, I never decided to watch the episodes I missed out on until now. I love the vibrant colors and how much more ambitious the direction and animation is compared to the first 4 seasons. It's always nice to see the Edds and the other kids on the same side. Eddy isn't trying to scam them, and Kevin isn't shunning them. Cheese a Go-Go was very annoying, but the big cheese showed that cheese can be utilized well, but this episode didn't do that. I like the subplot with Madame Foster and Jackie Cones, but I can't say that I liked anything else about the episode. The only other notable thing about it is that it was the first episode to be animated in HD 16:9, but if you're watching it on Hulu or iTunes, you wouldn't know that. Also, why did Mac and Milk go to jail? That Darn Platypus is 22 minutes of Rick Platypus telling Adam he's an alien, and Adam thinks it's a joke. That's it. This episode was very boring. I almost fell asleep. All right, that's a very spot on. I didn't know that about it being in HD.
Yeah, neither did I.
Thanks, Hulu.
Yeah.
Also of note, The Edds Are Coming is technically not coded to Ed, Edd and Eddy Season 5. It's considered a special like Hanky Panky Hullabaloo, Brouhaha, and Jingle Jingle Jangle, although it takes place during the school years, and because it's not a holiday special, I wouldn't blame you for thinking it's just like a regular episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Monsters, you want to get the other one?
Sure, yeah. This one is from Fresh Resh. And they say, "This has been a fun trip to memory lane. I remember watching most of these when they premiered. I found Cheese a Go-Go to be a stressful experience just because of how fast-paced and frantic the episode was. The Edds Are Coming was a really good episode, providing a good amount of tension, along with it being one of the few stories with the Ed boys in the cul-de-sac, I think that's how it's spelled, working together, actually not unlike the other alien horror episode where Ed wears the monster costume. That Darn Platypus was the one I remembered the least about, but it was probably the most comical of the three, and it was interesting revisiting the show after so long. Gilbert Gottfried does excellent work as Rick Platypus. I appreciated some elements shared between the episodes as well, such as the designs of the aliens appearing in each one, the Ed's abduction making front page news in Platypus, cheese, and mentions of brain sucking. In conclusion, what horrible crimes did Sugar Jumper commit?
Sugar Jumper being the Cockney
The Australian.
oh yeah.
I think it was Australian, right?
I thought it was Cockney, but I don't know. Being the marmoset or whatever he is, I don't know. In the Gym Partner episode, who did unspeakable things that Warthog would rather not talk about.
At least he has a file.
I will give that, honestly, I did laugh the most at the Gym Partner episode. I mean, I love Ed, Edd, and Eddy, but the comedy in Ed, Edd, and Eddy is not the sort that I like laugh out loud to. It's more just like slapstick that I appreciate. No insult to Ed, Edd, and Eddy at all, but I guess just like there were jokes in the Gym Partner episode I did laugh at and did surprise me. So maybe that's just because I watched it the least of all of these. Definitely, it's the one I've seen the least.
Yeah, I'll agree with saying that the Gym Partners episode was the one that I probably found the most funny.
I don't know. For me, it's which one did I like tolerate the most? I would probably choose.
Well, we just said that was the most funny. I didn't say that was the best episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we were choosing the favorite one.
I mean, we can.
Oh, okay. Well, what is your favorite one?
I mean, it's the Ed and Eddy one. like I said, I mean, I probably laughed a little bit more at the Gym Partner one, but like Ed and Eddy is just so stylistically amazing, and just it's the only one of these that didn't have an obnoxious character in it. Like, yeah, Eddie's a jerk, but I wouldn't say he's obnoxious. He's not even in the episode all that much. It's the only one that didn't just reuse the same joke over and over again. It's the one with the best story, the best actual build up and tension about there being aliens. It's like, ironically, it feels like the least connected of all of them across the whole Invaded saga, but it's the one that feels the most like an actual like alien invasion is being taken seriously. I mean, I know, the Billy and Mandy and Camp Lazlo are a little more direct, but just like, I don't know, just like the whole feeling of the Ed, Edd, and Eddy episode was the one that most like for what they promoted for what CN Invaded was, the Ed, Edd, and Eddy episode felt the most true to that vision, in my opinion. How about you, Monsters?
Gotta agree. The Eds Are Coming is my pick. Stylistically, it's the best out of the three, in my opinion. Yeah, the tension was great. I love the team up between everyone. I pretty much love almost any episode of the Eds with Rolf in it. And although he didn't really play much of a direct role in this episode, just seeing him at the end and once you put the pieces together, like all of these strange things are happening, but once you get that like relief at the end that it was Rolf, you kind of just like retread in your mind a little bit, like, what was he doing? So yeah, I mean that it's funny in that way.
Also, the Ed, Edd, and Eddy episode is the only one that's the most straightforward with actual explanations as to what is happening. Like, they do explain why these weird things, like why there's the heat wave, why Ed looked the way he did when he was ejected out of the chimney.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? They explain. And I'm sure some people are going to argue with me about, like, the ending of the Gym Partner episode. But when you've already pulled out, like, 2 fake outs, I refuse to believe whether this character is an alien or isn't. I still just choose to believe it's a dumb joke, and I don't know what he is.
Yeah.
Same thing with, like, I don't buy that Cheese is or isn't an alien. I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's a fair summary. It's the Eds is, and maybe it's coincidence. The Eds is the show that I prefer out of these three. So maybe it's just kind of the overall elements combined. But I can say that I don't like Cheese as much as I did at one point in time. And Rick Platypus, as legendary as he is, didn't do it for me this time.
Rick Platypus.
Or any time.
How about you, Kuro?
Well, like I said, all 3 of these episodes were more or less the same to me. So it was more of just which characters do I like more. And personally, I'm a bigger fan of Foster's. Even though this is definitely one of their weakest episodes, and Cheese was pretty much unbearable, I just enjoy the Foster's world and feel better than Gym Partner and Ed and Eddy.
Have you seen other Foster's episodes anytime recently?
I have.
Okay.
I remember liking it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
No, I don't want to take that away from you, but I'm not the only one that has gone back to this show recently and been like, holy cow, this show's annoying.
well, I did get a Verve trial for this, so maybe I'll check out more of it. Oh wait, no, I watched Foster's on Hulu, so.
Yeah. Foster's is always sitting there on Hulu, just waiting for you to rediscover it and
it's wonderful 4x3 glory.
It's long too. I didn't realize how many seasons it is.
yeah.
It's like 7 seasons, right?
6.
Just waiting for you to revisit and then ruin your childhood memories. Anyway, Shadow Buddy, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'd say the Ed and Eddy episode was the most enjoyable for me in terms of like just the overall story, and it was nice seeing all the characters work together, and there wasn't an obnoxious running joke character there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think overall I really do enjoy the world of Foster's, like Kuro said, but for this episode specifically, it's kind of unanimous for me. The other two just didn't do it for me, so by process of elimination, the Ed and Eddy won. And
All right.
pretty much every reason Monsters gave is exactly how I feel, so.
Okay. Well, we finished the discussion, so you guys know what that means.
It's time for
It's
some spooky
time.
trivia.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So we've been doing team ups lately for trivia, but I know how competitive you guys are with each other, so we're gonna try something a little different. Okay, I'm gonna ask a prompt, and each of you are going to private message me on the service that we're using, known as Discord, with the answer. So that way, no one can copy off each other, and then we'll go through and read them off, obviously for the audience.
I like this.
Yeah, and we'll see how you do. So a few weeks ago, we did a trivia game where it was, did it have a train-based episode? So this week, we are going to be doing, does it have a Halloween episode? All right. And I mean specifically Halloween. They have to say that it's Halloween or thereabouts. Okay?
I have a question.
Oh,
before
boy.
we get into this.
Yes.
What if they have a holiday that isn't specifically called Halloween, but it's obviously in reference to Halloween?
I am so glad you asked, Shadow. Yes. If they have like Spookoween or something, then that's clearly a Halloween episode. The Avatar
Okay.
episode wouldn't count because they're not celebrating any holiday, but the Gravity Falls episode with Summerween would count. All right? Okay. And the number one prompt is my gym partner's a monkey. And, Monsters is in first.
Oh, like the episode title of their Halloween special?
No, just does it have one? Yes
Oh.
or no?
And both is not an option, right?
Shadow, I feel
It
like
does not have a special.
I shouldn't need to. How could both even be enough? All right, Kuro's in. We're waiting on you, Mr. Funny Pants.
I
All
signed
right,
in.
Monsters says no. Why do you think of that, Monsters?
I remember like 5 episodes of this show total, and those do not include a Halloween episode.
Okay, interesting. Kuro says yes. Why are you thinking that?
Because I read it on Wikipedia when looking for Halloween specials.
Oh. How about you, Shadow?
I said no because I don't care if it does or not.
Wow.
If he says no, then
Wow.
it goes away.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, first of all, Kuro, that list also included some that didn't directly reference Halloween, so just be careful on that. But
Oof.
in this particular instance, yes, it doesn't strictly have a Halloween episode, but it has a Howl-a-ween episode called "It's the Scary Old Custodian, Adam Lion."
Wow, this show is so ageist, making fun of old people. I can't stand it.
Okie dokie. So, Kuro is the only one that gets a point. So that's 1 point for you. We're doing 5 prompts, by the way.
Yes.
All right, for your second prompt, Teen Titans Go.
Hmm.
All right, you are all in. Monsters says yes. Shadow says yes. Kuro says no? Question mark.
Because I feel like it would be surprising if it didn't, and you usually go for those kind of questions.
Oh man, the one time you're thinking the right way, you're just wrong.
What?
Teen Titans Go has like 80 seasons. Of course they have a Halloween episode.
They literally have an episode, Halloween versus.
Yeah,
Darn.
especially they do a lot of themed events too.
Man, it
Yeah.
seems so likely that they had one. I was expecting them to not.
Yeah, the first one's just called Halloween, as Shadow said. There's also one called Halloween versus Christmas.
There goes my
So-
win streak.
Steven Universe. Ooh. Spookvin Spookiverse. Am I right?
That belly button's real scary.
Excuse me? All right, waiting on you, Kuro. All right. Monster said no. Shadow said no. Kuro said no. You are all correct.
Whew.
Hey.
Yay.
All right. Yes, Steven Universe actually has not celebrated any holidays.
Are there gem holidays?
No, there should be, but there aren't. There is a they've celebrated something similar to Thanksgiving and something kind of very loosely Christmas, but nothing even approximating Halloween. Although there are spooky episodes like Nightmare Hospital and Horror Club. What's everyone's score?
Everyone's tied at 2.
Okay, so you're all tied at 2. You guys ready for the fourth prompt?
Oh yeah.
Adventure Time, which is a show that all of you need to watch more of. All right, Monsters says yes. Kuro says yes. Shadow says no. Shadow is the only one that knew. There are no Halloween episodes of Adventure Time.
I didn't know. I just took a shot in the dark. I haven't seen Adventure Time much at all. I'm sorry.
You all make me very sad. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the first episode deals with candy zombies, and then there's a much later one that we talked about called From Bad to Worse. There's the partner episode From Bad to Worse is The Creeps, where they like go to this like mystery dinner banquet thing. But being a post-apocalyptic show, there is no Halloween. There's no Christmas either, although there's something similar to Christmas.
Oh, I could have sworn like the first episode was a Halloween.
They fight
special.
candy zombies, but that's not Halloween.
Man.
Slumber Party Panic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one I thought of. I was like, oh, I know this one.
Shadow is up 3?
Yep.
3-2-2. All right, last one, and I gotta make this a spicy one. All right, what show do I know that none of you have ever heard of in your lives? Hulk and the Agents of Smash.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I would not know this. This definitely seems like it would and would not have one.
This is a show that none of the four of us have ever seen anything.
Nope. I don't even know
I've
what
heard
you're
of the
referring to.
Agents of
Yeah,
S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I saw a commercial for this once, and the first thing I thought was, "There's no way I'm watching this."
It aired
Not
from,
the Agents of
it aired
Smash.
from 2013 to 2015.
A whole
All right.
team of Hulks is just.
It stars Hulk, She-Hulk, Red Hulk, Scar, and A-Bomb. I'm waiting on you, Kuro, by the way.
You know what?
Just by the name alone, it sounds ridiculous enough. That
Okay, all right. Monsters, you said yes. What's your thought process?
My thought process is, how did you come across this show? Probably by looking at other Halloween specials.
Well,
That's my rationale.
See, the flaw in your rationale there, Monsters, is the fact that on that list of Halloween specials includes a bunch that aren't. There are spooky episodes that aren't Halloween specials. So, okay. Shadow said yes. What was yours? What was your thought process?
my reasoning was this show sounds ridiculous enough that if they did it, it would be called Hulkoween. That was my thought process.
My reasoning was exactly the title too. I was like, they were gonna do this, but they're gonna call it like Halloween Smash or something.
All right. Well, you all said yes. Oh, and I hate to disappoint you guys.
There's not.
You're right. However, it's called the Hulking Commandos.
No, what?
No,
That's not even
that's
a Halloween.
boring.
They
No.
couldn't even get the title
That's
pun.
boring.
On Halloween, the agents of Smash encounter Nick Fury's Howling Commandos, consisting of Blade, Frankenstein's monster, Man-Thing, Nkantu, the Living Mummy, and Werewolf by Night, where they have been sent by Nick Fury to apprehend the agents of Smash. However, the Howling Commandos have a change of plans when they end up helping the agents of Smash prevent Dormammu from breaking into Earth's dimension and turning all of humanity into mindless ones.
There's a lot going on there.
Can I please mention the fact that the very next episode is called Spidey, I Blew Up the Dinosaur?
I didn't miss a
Sound-
thing
this-
not watching this.
This show sounds like a trip. Oh my
I just,
god.
you know what? I gotta see a clip from this episode afterwards because
Congrats, Shadow.
Yeah, good. Oh yeah, good job, Shadow. You beat everyone.
Thank you. Yay.
Final score was, what is it, 4-3-3?
Yep.
Yep. All right. That's a good one. Maybe we'll have a rematch next week, or maybe I'll do something entirely different so you can't plan. But speaking of next week, we are going to be talking about the last 2/3 episodes of Cartoon Network Invaded. The 2 Camp Lazlo episodes known as...
Cheese Orbs and the Strange Trout from Outer Space.
Okay. They're 2 separate episodes, but they're both tied together. So let's just say that.
Yeah.
And then the last episode is Billy and Mandy Moon the Moon. So
Hey.
yeah. So join us for that. We're gonna have more crazy shenanigans then. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
thank you,
fun.
guys.
And we hope you guys will be feeling better for next week.
me too.
Yep, same here.
All right, with that, Bye Guy Rules out.
Keep it fizzy.
Bye, guys.
Catch you guys next time.